You wake up on a Tuesday and check your phone. Same thing you do every morning. You open your banking app and something is wrong. Last night, you had $4,127 in your account. You remember the exact number because you just paid rent. But this morning, where that number used to be, there's nothing. No balance, no dollar sign, just a symbol. A sideways figure eight, the infinity sign, just sitting there on your screen. You blink, you close the app, you open it again, it's still there. You think it's a glitch, so you decide to test it. You transfer $10,000 from your account to your savings. The transfer goes through. You are still confused. You transfer $100,000, goes through. The infinity sign is still there. You wire $2 million to an old brokerage account you haven't used in years. It took around 4 minutes, and the wire confirms. You sit on the edge of your bed. Outside, the world is normal. Cars going to work, a neighbor's dog barking, someone slamming a car door. But on your phone, that symbol just sits there, waiting. So you do something crazy. You open another banking app and you transfer $1 billion to a numbered account in Switzerland. The transfer takes 40 seconds, it goes through. The symbol stays. Now it actually hits you, because $1 billion leaving an account should set off every alarm in the system. There should be a fraud alert, there should be a phone call, there should be 20 different people asking what you're doing. Instead, there's nothing, just the symbol. You're not rich, you don't have a balance, you just have unlimited money. And sitting there at 9:47 in the morning on your unmade bed, you realize something. Your old life is over. No going to your stupid job anymore. No looking at every price tag before buying anything. Every system you've ever lived under was built on the idea that money runs out. Your money doesn't run out, so none of those rules apply to you anymore. This should feel like freedom. It doesn't. It feels like the floor just dropped out from under you. So you do what anyone would do. You test it. You order breakfast from a place that delivers. You pick the most expensive thing on the menu, a $48 omelet with truffle. When the driver shows up, you tip him $1,000. He stands in the hallway holding the receipt. He looks up at you. He thinks you made a mistake. You tell him you didn't. He looks at the receipt again. He looks back up at you. He says, "Thank you, sir," 3 times in a row. Then he walks down the stairs slowly, like he's afraid the floor might collapse. You eat the omelet at your kitchen counter. It's good. It's not $1,000 good. It's not even $48 good. It's just an omelet. You've eaten omelets your whole life. But the test worked. The money is real. So you go bigger. You call a real estate agent. You tell her you want to buy the building you live in. She asks which apartment. You tell her you want the whole building. There's a long pause. She asks if you're representing someone. You say no. She asks how you'll pay. You tell her cash. She doesn't say anything for a few seconds. Then she tells you, very carefully, that she'll need to confirm you have the money before going forward. You tell her to go ahead. By the end of the day, the building is yours. 42 apartments. You don't tell anyone. The next morning, the people in the building wake up, walk their dogs, go to work. They have no idea their landlord changed overnight. Their lives are exactly the same. The change is invisible. You like that. You like that nobody knows, so you keep going. By the end of the week, you own the whole block. By the end of the month, you own 3 blocks. You buy a private jet. Then you buy the company that built the jet. Then you buy the airline that flies them. Then you buy the engine company that supplies the airline. There's a kind of game going on here. The game is, how far down does this go? How many companies make the parts that make the parts that make the parts? You don't stop. You buy the company that mines the metal. You buy the company that processes the metal. You buy the company that ships the metal. You buy the trucks. You buy the trains. You buy the ports. Everything connects to everything else, and you can just keep buying. The first crack comes about 6 weeks in. You're at an auction in London. You flew there for one violin, a Stradivarius. There are only about 650 of these in the world. This one belonged to a famous violinist who died in 1962. The auction starts at £2 million. You raise your hand. Someone bids 3. You bid 5. They bid 6. You bid 12. They stop. The hammer drops. The violin is yours. The room claps. You feel something, a small thrill, not from the violin, you don't even play violin, but from winning, from beating someone. The other bidder, an older man in a dark suit, stares at you from across the room. So you decide you want them all, every Stradivarius in the world. There are about 650, and most are owned by private collectors. You hire a team. They start making offers, $200 million per violin, no questions asked. 4 months later, you own 412 of them. They sit in a special vault in a building you also own. One morning, you walk through the vault, hundreds of priceless violins behind glass, and you realize you have never picked one up. You don't even know how to hold one. You bought them because you could. The thrill from the auction was real. The feeling of owning 412 of them is nothing. It's just stuff in a room. That's when you start to figure something out about wanting things. The auction was exciting because someone else wanted the violin too. The fight is what made it feel valuable. Once you took the fight away, once you just bought every violin without bidding, they stopped feeling special. They became furniture. The thing that made them precious wasn't the wood or the maker. It was that not everyone could have one. You had everyone, so you had nothing. You don't know what to do with this yet, so you push past it. You start trying to buy meaning instead. You write a check for $3 billion to fight malaria. You write another for $5 billion to bring clean water to Africa. You write another for $10 billion to fund cancer research at every major hospital on Earth. You expect this to feel different. It does for about a day. Then you realize the checks didn't really change anything you can see. The world looks the same. The news talked about your donations for a few hours and then moved on. People who were dying yesterday are still dying today. People who will be saved by your money won't be saved for years. You won't ever meet them. They won't ever meet you. Charity at your level isn't a relationship. It's just a wire transfer. So you try something more direct. You drive to a homeless camp in your own city. You don't bring security even though your team begged you to. You walk up to the first man you see. You write him a check for $500,000. He looks at the check. He looks at you. He says, "What is this?" You tell him it's real. You tell him it's his. You tell him to take it to any bank. He doesn't take the check. He thinks it's a trick. He tells you to leave him alone. You stand on the sidewalk holding the check. Something hollow opens up in your chest. The man wasn't ungrateful. He was protecting himself. People have lied to him before. They've offered him things and taken them away. The $500,000 was real, but he had no way to know that. And standing there, you understand something. Money only works if people trust it. Trust between the person paying and the person taking. Trust that a dollar is really a dollar. Trust that the person handing you a check isn't running some kind of scam. You have unlimited money, but you can't make people trust you. The world is allowed to say no. You leave the check on a bench and you walk away. Then the people in your life start to change. It's not dramatic. There's no big fight. Nobody calls you out. They just get quieter. Your best friend from college, the one you used to argue with about everything, suddenly agrees with everything you say. He laughs at jokes that aren't funny. He tells you whatever you're working on sounds great, even though you haven't told him what you're working on. You bring up something you used to disagree about, a movie, a politician, a restaurant, and he immediately switches to your side. He used to push back. He doesn't push back anymore. After a while, you realize he's afraid of you. Not afraid you'll hurt him, afraid he'll hurt your feelings, because hurting your feelings now has a cost he can't afford. He doesn't want to lose access to your life, so he edits himself. You miss him. He's standing right in your living room, and you miss him. Your sister is different. Your sister is direct. She calls you on a Sunday. She tells you straight up that her ex-husband is giving her trouble with custody, and she'd like your help. You say, of course. You hire her the best family lawyer in the country. The case is settled in 3 weeks. She gets full custody. She thanks you. She means it. But the next time you talk, you can hear her choosing her words carefully. She used to vent to you about her life. She doesn't anymore. She's worried that anything she mentions might get fixed without her permission. Her problems used to be hers. Now they could become yours, and that means they aren't really hers anymore. Your mother starts asking before she tells you anything, before she mentions her car, before she mentions a friend who's sick, before she mentions a leaky pipe. She asks if you want to hear it. She doesn't want to bother you. You tell her, of course. She tells you about the pipe. You hire someone to fix it. She thanks you. She doesn't mention pipes again. You used to fix small things in your mom's house yourself. You used to come over with a toolbox and watch a football game with your dad afterwards. Your dad died 8 years ago. You used to drive to your mom's house just to be in the room where the toolbox was. You don't drive there anymore. You have people who drive there for you. The room with the toolbox is still there. You haven't seen it in months. Then you meet someone. Her name doesn't matter. She works at a bookstore in a city you visit on a Tuesday. You walk in because you have an hour to kill, and the windows looked nice. She's behind the counter, reading. She doesn't look up when the bell rings. She finishes her paragraph first. Then she looks up. She doesn't recognize you, which should be impossible because everyone recognizes you, but she doesn't. You don't have your security with you. You're not wearing your usual coat. You've grown a beard the last few months. The lighting in the store is bad. Whatever the reason, she just sees a guy. You ask her about a book. She has opinions. You disagree with one of them. She defends her position. You leave the store an hour later without buying anything, and you can't stop thinking about the conversation. You go back the next day. You go back the day after that. You ask her to dinner. She says yes. She says yes because she wants to, not because she has to. For 3 weeks, this works. You don't tell her who you are. You take her to small restaurants. You wear normal clothes. You drive yourself in a car you bought just for this, a used sedan with a coffee stain on the passenger seat. She thinks you're a freelance consultant from out of town. You don't correct her. You're happier than you've been in months. You're happier than you've been since the symbol showed up on your phone. Some weight has lifted that you didn't even know you were carrying. You can be in a room with another person and just be in the room. You can disagree with her about a book. She doesn't get soft when you push back. She pushes back harder. You laugh, like really laugh, for the first time in a long time. Then she sees a magazine in a coffee shop with your face on the cover. She doesn't say anything for a long time. She just looks at the magazine. Then she looks at you. Then she looks at the magazine again. You can see her putting things together in her head. The car with the coffee stain, the cheap restaurants, the fact that you said you were a freelance consultant, the way your hands look on the table. Clean, soft, hands that haven't done physical work in years. She doesn't get angry, she gets quiet. She asks why you didn't tell her. You try to explain. You tell her you wanted to be liked for who you are, not for what you have. You tell her this was the only way. She looks at you with something on her face. It's not anger, it's worse. It's pity. She says, I liked the version of you who was a freelance consultant. I don't know who you actually are. Neither do you anymore. She gets up. She leaves a 20 on the table for her coffee. She walks out. You sit in the coffee shop for an hour after she's gone. The 20 stays on the table. Eventually, you pay your check and you walk back to the car with the coffee stain. You drive it back to a parking garage, where it sits, untouched, for the next 3 years. You get into the back of a real car, the one with security, the one with tinted windows. You go home. After that, you stop trying. You stop trying to be liked. You stop trying to be normal. You stop trying to date. You stop trying to make friends. You go very still. You spend a lot of time alone in rooms. Your staff doesn't know what you're doing in there. You're not doing anything. You're just sitting. The boredom is hard to explain to anyone who hasn't felt it. It's not the boredom of having nothing to do. It's the boredom of being able to do anything. You can fly to any country. You can buy any object. You can fund any project. You can hire any person. With so many options, you can't pick. There's no point in picking. Every choice leads to the same place. It's like standing in a field with no edges, and you don't know which way to walk because every direction is the same. You start doing weird things just to feel something. You buy a small town in Wyoming, population 340. You don't tell the people who live there. You just become the owner of every business and every property at the same time. You move there for a month. You rent a room above the diner, Except you own the diner now, and the room, and the building. The woman who runs it doesn't know that. She charges you $400 for the month. You pay her in cash. She thinks you're an artist on a retreat. You eat at the diner every morning. You read the local paper. You play chess with an old man named Earl in the park on Tuesdays. You don't tell anyone who you are. For a few weeks, you're just a guy in Wyoming. Then someone Googles you. The diner owner sees the article. By the next morning, the whole town knows. Earl doesn't show up to the park on Tuesday. The diner owner stops charging you for breakfast. People stare at you on the street. Within a week, the town has rearranged itself around you. Every conversation is now about you. You've turned 340 lives upside down, and it took 8 days. You leave Wyoming. You try other things. You hire actors to play a normal life around you. They live in a fake suburb you build outside of Phoenix. They're paid to treat you like a regular neighbor. They borrow sugar from you. They invite you to barbecues. They argue with you about lawn care. The arguments are fake. The barbecues are fake. You know they're fake because you wrote the script yourself. You sit on a folding chair in a fake backyard in a fake suburb in Phoenix. A man named Dave, who you pay $200,000 a year, tells you the Cardinals are looking good this season. You nod. You sip a beer. You cry without making a sound, because Dave is the closest thing you have to a friend, and Dave is on payroll. You give the actors a final bonus and you shut the suburb down. Then you start trying to recreate things from your old life. You hire a team to find the exact apartment you lived in when you were 26. They find it. You buy it. You tear it down to the walls and rebuild it to match your memory. You buy the same furniture, the same dishes, the same bedsheets. You hang the same posters in the same spots. You stock the fridge with the same cheap beer. You move in for a weekend. You sit on the same couch you sat on when you were 26. The light through the window is the same. The street noise is the same. The smell of the carpet is the same. Everything is the same. Except you. You're not 26 anymore. You can't remember what you wanted at 26. You can't remember what felt hard. You can't remember what scared you. The apartment is just a copy of a life that used to be lived, and you're a stranger walking through it. You leave the apartment that Sunday. You leave the cheap beer in the fridge. You leave the posters on the wall. You don't go back. You don't sell the apartment either. It's still there somewhere, exactly the way it was, waiting for someone who isn't coming back. You think about the symbol a lot now, the infinity sign on your bank account. You used to think it meant freedom. You think now it means something else. You think it means you got erased. When you had a balance, you were a person making choices inside a limit. The limit was the thing that defined you. You wanted things you couldn't have. You worked toward things that weren't certain. You loved people without being able to fix all their problems. You had a shape made by trying and failing, and trying again. The infinity symbol took the limit away. Without limits, there's no shape. You're not a person anymore. You're an empty hand. Things can pass through it. Nothing has to stay. You walk out onto the back patio. It's evening. The sky is doing the thing the sky does when the sun goes down. That slow shift from orange to purple to dark. You used to love this. You used to stop whatever you were doing when the sky did this. You used to call your sister sometimes and say, "Look at the sky." And she would walk outside, wherever she was, and look at the sky. And you would just be on the phone together, not talking, looking up. You don't call her anymore. You don't have to. If you wanted to see the sky from anywhere on Earth, you could be there in 6 hours. The thing is, that's what ruined it. The trip was what made looking at the sky special, not the sky. You stand on the patio. The sky finishes its slow change. The stars come out. Somewhere on the property, a sprinkler turns on. Somewhere in the house, your dinner is ready in case you want it. You don't want anything. That's what you finally figure out standing on the patio in the dark. You used to want a lot of things. The wanting was the engine. The wanting got you out of bed in the morning. The wanting connected you to the world. because the world had things you didn't have, and you had to do something to get them. The infinity symbol closed every gap. There's no distance left between you and any object on Earth. There's no distance left between you and any experience. You can have anything. You want nothing. You used to think wanting was a problem. You didn't realize wanting was the thing keeping you alive, the thing that made you a person. You sit down on the patio. The stones are cold through your pants. You can hear the sprinkler. You can hear a car somewhere on the property road. You can hear, far away, a plane. You used to look up at planes and wonder where they were going. You don't anymore. You could be on the plane. You could buy the plane. You could buy the airport. You could land the plane wherever you wanted. You stare up anyway. The plane is a small light moving across a dark sky. You watch it until it goes behind a cloud. Then you watch the cloud. Then you watch the space where the plane used to be. The symbol is still on your phone. The symbol will always be on your phone. The symbol does not move. The symbol does not run out. The symbol is the only thing in your life that hasn't changed since the morning it appeared. And you understand now why that is. The symbol isn't money. The symbol is what's left